know me, I'm Mrs. Michaels, the principal. We wanted to take this opportunity to share with you some new ideas that we're trying here at Monroe and share with you some ideas in regards to next year so that you can help us prepare your students for some big things to come. To share with you and our community at large what we've been doing in the last year and working towards personalized learning, but we also wanted to share with you our vision and moving forward. And before I continue, I want to introduce a few key people that will be helping me with this presentation. Mr. Sorensen will be doing some, sharing some information. Mr. Deaver, Mrs. Lanu, Ms. Villasenor, but also there are other teachers here with us if you have questions for them. We'll go ahead and go on to our definition of what is personalized learning, maybe. It's important to understand as education changes, sometimes we're told things like, oh, the pendulum is swinging again. This isn't a pendulum swing. This is a focus on every single child. And that's what we've been working hard toward in the last year, but we're looking to make even more changes in the future. So if you want to go ahead and read our definition here of what personalized learning is. Okay, so hopefully from this definition you glean the biggest pieces, which are individual and personal, and toward mastery. The biggest goal that we have is in regards to meeting every child where they are and moving them as far along in the educational continuum as we can. Going on to our vision, if you want to just read this one, I'm going to read it aloud too, just because it's very poignant on what we're trying to do. Monroe prepares students to become purposeful contributors to a global society through learning experiences that promote student ownership of the path and pace of their education. What this means is we have the standards to teach. That's the what. But the how can be very different. And the how should be different based on your child's needs. If your child is very skilled in math, I do not want them to sit in every math lesson of things that they don't need to review anymore. If your child is an avid reader and reads voraciously, I do not want them to have to separate sentences, discuss what the noun is, things like that. They need to keep going with their learning. They also need to choose their own way to demonstrate learning. Yes, we're obligated to give certain tests and certain demonstrations of learning through the state and our district, but for us at Monroe, we try to provide students many opportunities to demonstrate learning. It doesn't need to be just a test. If it's a presentation, it doesn't just need to be a PowerPoint. We're trying to teach them all the ways that they can demonstrate learning and understanding. So what our vision is to make sure that every child makes as much progress as they can, with the ultimate goal to be mastery and a love of learning. So with my staff here today, we're going to present some information about how it looks different here at Monroe. So they're going to kind of be sharing the mic. Again, at the end, we'll be available to answer questions as well as leave you a comment card. But hopefully you're already hearing the differences about how school has been and certainly how school was for us. Everybody stays together. Everybody sits quietly all day long and listens to the teacher. Everyone takes the test at the end. That's not our vision. Flyer that we sent home, we tried to kind of categorize the information we were going to share. So moving on to student opportunities, and again, my staff's just going to kind of jump in and share how does it look different and how will it look different next year in regards to student opportunities.
First of all, as it says up there, use technology to leverage learning. As you all know, we have tons of technology already in our school, and more so than other schools around here as well as the country. I've had a chance to go to 2 conferences this past year, and it's been really interesting to see that we are ahead of the curve compared to schools all across the state and even in the country. And so we're at a really unique spot here as we're using technology to help us learn, not to just have technology to have fun with it. I know myself and other teachers, I always say use technology to learn what you don't know and to show what you do know, as opposed to just, hey, just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. If they already know how to do it, let's move on. So the interesting thing happened just this past week. I was reading a book to them, and at the end there's something called a coda. And I said, hey, I'll talk to you guys about this a little bit later, and maybe you guys can do some research on it. And within 2 or 3 minutes, a student of mine had a computer, looked up and said, oh, I know what coda is. And 2 or 3 others said, I know what coda is. And we were able to have a conversation just like that, when before it was more, well, I'll get back to you and I'll give you the information. And sometimes a kid would go home, but they were engaged, they got it, and we had the discussion right there.
In here that is my part is daily access to the teacher for coaching and support. So thanks to technology, we are able to see results right away where your students stand. So we could do a live stream. So if the students are logged into a certain program, we could see what question they're at. We can see how many they received correctly. We can be right away like, Bob, why are you still on number 5? Are you having a hard time with that? You know, even though they haven't came up to us. Or we could see like a live picture right there. We can also see growth right away. So as a teacher, we're able to see access right away to be able to coach those students that need the extra support right away, even if they don't come up to us. We could say, what's going on here? I see this. Or we could also see those students that are getting the material right away and say, you know what, you're getting this, why don't we move you on to this? Why don't we have you, look at the material more deeply? So right away access for the next thing is the ability to focus on strengths, weaknesses, and interests. That means that as we are seeing results, students see results as well. So they can see right away, oh gosh, I didn't do that well. I better go talk to the teacher. You know, maybe at the same time I'm helping somebody or something like that. So they can see their results as well. So there is no hidden thing like, oh, I just took a test. I don't know. My teacher spends a week to let me know a week later what my results were. Like right away they know, oh, I didn't do so well. I better go get some coaching. Or I'm stuck, you know. Or if they do so well, they know and they want to move on. Or, you know what, Ms. Villaseñor, I already passed this, I'm good. Can I work on this? Sure, you know. So just like we're getting live stream right away results, your students are getting the same results right away. And so we can move on from there to be able to help them with strengths, weaknesses, other interests that, you know, they're reading articles, you know, live articles, they're taking quizzes, and then, you know, they, something like even soccer with, you know, the World Cup coming up, they're right away, they want to read like every article for those soccer players, you know, and they're just, you know, going deeper into their interest, okay?
All right, I'll be talking to you guys about things to study deeply. This year in my class, my students have been doing genius projects or passion projects. They've been able to go onto the internet and search something that they want to learn more about. They set a goal every day, or not every day, every week when we go through it, and they're deciding what it is that they want to learn about this specific thing. So I know one of my students was doing sharks, all about different sharks. And so every day they were, okay, what do I want to learn about today? Not just sharks in general. They said, okay, I want to know how long do sharks live. And so that's what they would research that day. And every time that we would go into it, they would be able to learn something that they want to learn about. They're able to present it in a way that they feel comfortable. If it's using technology to present it to the class, or if it's just, you know, creating a poster or doing just speaking out loud, but they're able to dive deeper into something that they are interested in, and not just something that I say, okay, you need to research this, and it's not exciting for them. So we're really going to focus on letting them make that choice of what they need to dig deeper into and master those standards that we're looking for.
Speed at which to learn. Like we stated earlier, we have minimums. We started in our class that they have a minimum. The minimum pace you should be at so you don't fall too behind. So they have their minimums during the day, and those students that can move on, they move on. They can move on, like I'll give you the example of math. So in math, those students that need the deeper understanding, they're spending the whole day learning that topic, and then I have those ones that got it quickly. They could have 2 to 3 chapters that same day, okay? So the speed is going to be up to your student, you know. If they want to test out, they can test out. They master it right away. They don't have to spend time, you know, on it. If they don't need the review, they don't need it. So it's a speed where, you know, it's being individualized what your student needs, okay?
One of the things is ways to demonstrate learning. Personalized learning, it's a fantastic way for the kids to just say, all right, I want to show you I know this in my way. A good example, again, this last couple weeks, was in writing. We did a narrative, but it was a graphic novel. So they basically got to design and make their own comic book. And they had the choice of doing it a lot of different ways. There are certain standards they had to follow and certain elements they needed, but they had a choice. They could do it on paper, just like old times, color, draw, write the words, everything, demonstrate it that way, fantastic. Then we actually took it and digitalized it. I scanned it and put it on online anyways. But they did it old school way. Another way was they did a PowerPoint. They had a chance to do a slide presentation, again with everything on it. And then some of them got very creative, and there's a website called Powtoons, and they made a full animated comic book with music and graphics and movement and everything. It's fun, but it takes a lot of work. And it was fun to see the kids get fully engaged in no matter which way they chose, because it was their choice. And so that was really what this is about, ways to demonstrate learning. They just need to show it. It doesn't matter how, as long as they have all the elements in it.
All right, the next thing we talk about is the staff priorities, and this is about us giving that focus on what is it that the students need to master, those standards, where is it they have those holes, and how can we get them to master them. It talks a lot about we talk about ownership up here. Letting the kids own what they're doing. If they know it, they can teach it, they can, go home and tell you all about it, and they own it, they know what it is. But if they're just studying it, going, oh, I don't remember what that was, they're not going to enjoy what they're learning. So that's our goal, is to really let them, what interests them. One example I was giving earlier was with writing. If they're able to write an opinion on something that they enjoy, well, they're getting that standard of mastering their opinion, but they're getting to write about something they want to write about and not what we're telling them to write about. So, again, our focus is to where are their weaknesses, what can we do to help them reach that goal of mastering those standards, and let them take that ownership of enjoying it and wanting to be there and to do it.
So I know there was a lot of stuff that was said, a lot of information. So I'm just going to try to summarize it in like 2 sentences to, make sure that it's clear while you walk out this door, or fill out your comment card, or ask your question. So ultimately, the student is the center of what's going on. The student helps make a decision on what's learned, at the speed at which it's learned, and to the success at which it's learned. So we want all our students to master these standards moving forward. We feel this opportunity is going to allow for that. We can give students a little bit more ownership in their learning. So instead of only being taught, they're now becoming learners. And that learning is going to be lifelong learning, not just because I'm in 4th grade at Monroe and they let me do this. But we're instilling that opportunity for a lifetime.
Okay, so we're just about done, so a couple notes of clarification. What does this mean for my child? Well, what it means is we're going to meet your child where they are and take them as far as we can. What our plan is in some classes we have a much higher degree of personalized learning. In other classes, we're starting with math. So it's going to kind of depend on your child and the class that they're in. It doesn't mean that this class I want my child in, and this class I do not. It's everyone's going to be doing a level of personalized learning, and some classes will be doing a little bit more. Reality is that's our current status as well. Hopefully you've seen that in your child's classrooms, and if you have more than one child here at Monroe, you can probably determine where it's happening a little bit more and where it's happening a little bit less. But we wanted to give you an idea of what we were talking about when we say personalized learning, and have